Welcome to RGBA, Colorful Tech News and Reviews. This is episode number 53. My name is Alexandre Valliere-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Ménard. So let's start the podcast with a big news that almost threw me out of my chair this afternoon. In Canada, we have a unit of the government which is regulating the telecommunication. The head of that department basically changed recently, and they did a very long period where they were getting feedback from the consumers about what were the problems they were having with their devices, their mobile devices, and there's a bunch of problems, as you know: too expensive, not fast enough, contracts, whatever, locking phones. And then the very first thing that this new guy announces is that starting on December 1st this year, no phones will be able to be locked in Canada anymore. So carriers won't be able to lock cell phones anymore. This is a amazing and a very great news, and we should have got this years ago, but of course, those companies being what they are, this was never happening. And now I'm guessing that for existing phone, it's too late. Maybe you will be able to unlock it for free. This is still not sure, but starting on December 1st, 2017, you will get a phone from your carrier with or without a rebate, and it will be unlocked forever. So you will be able to switch carriers easily or go on vacation and buy a local SIM for your travels.
Because right now they do it, they can unlock it for you, but it's $50. And I think you can only do it after 6 months or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's you have to either pay the whole balance, because now we don't have any more contracts in Canada, but we still have some companies who try to give you a balance, so they spread the value of the phone across 2 years worth of months, and if you stay with them for 2 years, the phone is basically paid in full. But yeah, so this changes great things. One thing I did not notice, but I just read the whole article, and I see that there are also new other things that they announced. Basically, you will now have 15 days to cancel and get a full refund of your contract if ever you realize that there's a problem. I don't know, network speed or not what you were expecting or whatever. In the past, I think you either could not cancel or you had to do it in the very next day or something. Now you have 15 days to cancel.
Yeah, they tell you something about when you sign a new contract, it's about minutes used on your phone before you can return it. I don't know if it applies for the whole contract or it's just for the particular device.
Yeah, most probably. There's also...
I'm guessing that when, if I call on December 2nd to get my phone unlocked, they won't charge me the $50 they're charging anymore.
That's what I'm hoping. There's nothing in the law, because the law only applies to devices, new devices starting December 1st. So whatever is left, they might try to take some extra juice out of this lemon for a couple more months, but we'll see. There's also roaming charges that have now a maximum cap.
And it's also great for the used market. It's a lot easier, and it's a lot easier for us to change carrier, because it used to be a hassle. I have to pay $50 on top of the charges to buy out my phone and all that, so you wouldn't be enticed to change. But now if there's somebody Bell offers a deal, I can switch, and it's not as much of a pain.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you bring your own device, just make sure you pay your balance so you don't have a special bill that awaits with your previous provider. So that's all great. I'm just curious, because right now, even if you had to pay $50 to unlock your phone, sometimes it was such a big challenge just to get to the right person that many people were just going on eBay and paying that $50 to some dude who basically has contacts or works for those companies, and they could unlock it for you like that, and it was working pretty fine. So Talking about old devices, Walt Mossberg announced his retirement a couple of weeks ago. We mentioned that in past episodes. He did a interesting post with Nilay Patel from The Verge. He basically gave us like a sneak peek into his gadget museum. So he basically kept units of the most interesting or the gadget with the most impact on consumer tech life. So you have him in front of a bunch of old computers, old Apple IIc's, Macintosh SE, the iPhone, of course, the iPod, old Motorola StarTAC, the Palm Treos, Blackberries, and all those crazy old gadgets. So it's using like a video form. So he basically speaks about each little devices one after the other. And it's very interesting. You can see he also gives you like a little summary of how he was using those devices when they came out. There's an old Radio Shack TRS-80, which is basically like a electronic typewriter. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, the link will be in the show notes.
I remember the Motorola StarTAC.
Yeah.
You could carry like a bunch of batteries and swap them out because they'd last like only a couple of hours if you spoke a lot on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. And it was flipping like a Star Trek.
It had this like
communicator.
Click. Like when you open it, it had the nice click, and you had like a big battery pack that you can like stick onto the back too. A lot of people had that.
Yeah, the ThinkPad 701 is also pretty interesting. It was at a time when they tried to shrink the laptop as much as they can, but the keyboard was too small. So what IBM did in 95 is they basically have a keyboard that pops out of the device and spread from left to right. So it was basically cut in the middle. And when you were closing the lid, it would retract the keyboard to the middle. So the keyboard is actually wider than the device. So just opening it and closing it is just so cool to watch. So this afternoon you sent me a little link about developers using spaces and their code make more money than those who are using tabs.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it before. Stack Overflow, they have this big developer survey every year, and they come up with a bunch of like questions that everybody answers, and then they publish like the results. And this year, like every couple of weeks, they've been publishing like weird stats that they found out through all the answers. Through all the results, and so that's it. So if you use spaces, you usually make more money than if you use tabs. I use spaces and I'm not rich, so I don't know how that works out.
Yeah, well, it's statistics, so it's you can almost make those numbers tell you anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use a mix of both spaces and tabs depending on the project at work, so it depends, I would say. I'm guessing tabs are kind of like the de facto use for younger developers and newer code base. So yeah, if you're using like, I don't know, like Perl 5 code base, perhaps everything's using tab. And if you're using something in Node.js, which is much more recent, I think the de facto is spaces. So yeah, maybe that's why new developers, new trendy languages make maybe more money. I don't know.
Or IDEs too. It depends what IDE you use.
Yeah, also.
They all like you can manage. I use spaces, but I use the tab key anyways. It just every time I hit tab, I think it's 2 spacers or 4 spacers or something like that. So yeah, I don't notice it. And when I backspace, I don't have to backspace 4 times. I can just backspace once and it backspace the equivalent of a tab.
But that's the weird thing, is that the point of using a tab is to make a tab, which is the width of which you prefer. So you can make your tabs 2 characters wide, you can make your tabs 4 characters wide, and if you backspace, you only remove 1 character. But now IDEs are basically doing it for you. If you just use spaces, they are behaving like a tab, which kind of defeats the purpose of a tab. So in reality, the single most intelligent thing would be to use tabs because that's their purpose. But weirdly,
you can have tabs of different sizes, and then it gets nasty. And
well, that's because your IDE is differently configured. Because a tab is a tab. If your IDE is 4 spaces for a tab, and your colleague is 2, then it's just a matter of preference at this point.
It makes no sense.
No.
Like the correlation between money and tabs and space is just it's a stat for a stat.
Yeah, exactly. The next story, I was very surprised to read this today. Scott Forstall will be breaking the silence he has been either enduring or imposing on himself about his tenure at Apple at a what is it, like, is it a conference? I'm not sure if it's a conference. It's a panel. It's a panel discussion. No, sorry, it's a fireside chat that will be placed at the Computer History Museum, where he will be detailing the creation of the iPhone. So Scott Forstall was the senior vice president of computer software, I think, at Apple. He was basically in charge of iOS, starting from the very first iPhone, even a bit better before that, all the way, I think, to iOS 4 or 5, something like that.
And he got fired after Steve left. Or died, sorry.
Yeah, died. Left unwillingly.
I think, no, he left after Steve died. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. So that's fun. I'm eager to see if we can be able to see like a video or some transcript, because I'm not going to go to Mountain View for that, but I'm hoping to hear what he says, or at least read what he says. So there's another guy from Apple who actually kept silence about a project, and now he finally revealed it.
Yeah, but he's still at the company, and he's a bit more high profile, if you want. So Tim Cook said that they are focusing on a Apple car, or a system to drive the Apple car, or probably won't be an Apple car, but they're working on something car related.
Yeah. It's weird because it's not a product per se, it's a technology that they're working on. And Apple basically never announced technologies, they only announce products. And they often even say that such technology is bad until they make it better and they release it. So in this case, it's pretty weird to see first Tim Cook pre-announce that they're working on something. Well, just tell the world that they're working on something that is still not released. And two, that it's not even a product. It's basically just a technology or a set of technologies that they're experimenting with. So it's kind of like he just like lift the veil from like some research and development project going on at Apple. So that's pretty special. But then again, he was also super excited about VR and AR, and they pre-announced a bunch of things at the last WWDC. So they have like hardware partners and they have software partners also. They are making the Mac a good platform for VR. But still, there's still nothing announced. They don't announce any VR headset. They just present tools or partnership, which can or cannot be considered as something tangible. So you decide. But basically, there's a big shift this year in Tim Cook Apple.
There's a lot more communication.
Yeah, which is a good thing. I'm just curious to see how they're gonna make this become a reality for everyone.
And continuing on the leaks, or however you want to call them, Wistron, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Or Wistron, something like that. They're one of the parts supplier for the iPhone. The CEO came out saying that the new phone is supposed to be, I think, just waterproof, did he confirm, and wireless charging.
Yeah. He basically like just said, like assembly process did not change much except for the waterproofing and the wireless charging.
Right.
That requires different testing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah, just that. Just the like new features on the new phone. So they're basically already waterproof, but I guess now they're getting like certified waterproof. No, they're water resistant now.
Yeah, they're IP68 or 67, which is basically like a spill and splash resistant. But if they get like, I don't know, like up to 10 meters or something, yeah, they tend to resist. The thing that's just a bit touchy is that perhaps some assembly line have a tolerance that could make your phone die underwater if you put it like too deep for too long, whereas some others might survive. So that's like a threshold that there's like a like a threshold that if you get into that threshold, it's a hit and miss, and it might be dangerous because it's not certified that it's going to resist. But maybe the next one will be like even better in terms of waterproofing and can resist to a couple meters submerged.
And the wireless charging is like Samsung have there, is you put it on a pad basically and it charges. It's more like inductive charging.
Yeah, it's not wireless. We had this discussion a while back, so it's not wireless. It's really just inductive charging. There was something on Daring Fireball also today posted that it might also be used for data transfer. So you would not need any ports on your iPhone. So no headphone ports and no lightning port. But that would be weird because all the accessories and everything, that wouldn't make sense for me.
How do I charge my pencil?
Yeah, use your iPad, not your iPhone.
Yeah.
Because the new iPad have a headphone jack. So
right.
Yeah, that's another story. On the Twitter side of things, Twitter launched a redesign today. So basically, have a new UI on the website and on the apps. So it's nothing like grandiose. It's just a slight redesign. They shuffle the sections again. I think it's better. Looking at the snapshots and the screenshots and everything, it looks like it's cleaner. It's more structurized. There's less buttons, less tabs. And if you use the official Twitter client, basically the retweet, likes, and everything, that's all live data. So let's say you post a tweet and you scroll to it, and you'll see like just the hearts pop up and the retweets pop up, kind of like when you do a Periscope, you can see the hearts people give you in real time. So yeah, Safari View Controller is a default viewing links, so that's good.
It wasn't before?
No, it wasn't before. It was awful. They did try to use it for some like A/B testing to see. I don't know what the result will be, but it was still the old view.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, well, they did not really put too much love in their apps, so I'm hoping that this is like a start of just like make everything streamlined, smooth, and then they can focus on new features and better features for the future, and maybe put more time in those apps. Did you ever wonder how many fake followers you had on Twitter?
I'd say half.
Half, yeah. You're not Donald Trump, my friend. So yeah, there was a post from Newsweek today about Donald Trump having 50% of fake followers on his account. So he basically has, I think it's 30 million followers. And like 51% of those are fake. And of course, the rest is real. So for fun, I took your handle and my handle and I put them through the Twitter audit tool, which basically, I don't know what it does, but it guesses how many of your followers are fake. I don't know.
I guess it looks at like the accounts and the number of people they follow, and the number of people that follow them, and the number of tweets or the lifetime of the account or something like that.
Yeah, but it does it like so fast. It took like about 4 seconds for me and maybe 7 for you. It was queued and then it was processed. So it probably does not look at too much information. So basically you have 96% real followers and I have 98%.
You win.
So, yeah, I win this round.
But you have more fake followers than I have.
Yeah, that's true. I got 15, you got 3.
Yes, I win then.
Yeah, okay. Good game.
It's a cool tool.
Yeah, it's a cool tool. It's weird to see this guy, Mr. President, having 50% of fake accounts.
And he's all about fake news.
Yeah, of course. And there's also a comedian who's called Joe Mande. He basically has in his Twitter bio, Twitter is trash, Facebook is the devil. I bought 1 million followers for like $400. None of this shit matters. Antarctica is still melting. And he has 1.01 million followers. So he has fun with that. So for $400, he got 1 million followers. So.
And what's his fake count?
Good question.
98%?
Yeah, it should be something like that. So basically, he only has 7% of real followers. Well, but he still have 79,000 real followers and 933,000 fake.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
So how many does Mr. Trump have?
51% fake. 51%. No, sorry.
So
51%.
50% of 30. So he has 15 million.
Yeah, 15.9 million real and 15 million fake.
And it's $400 for
A million.
1 million. So it's only $6,000. It's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. It's quite affordable for Mr. President.
Right.
Yeah. And finally, just a little talk about podcasting, because we all love podcasting. If you're listening to us, we hope. So Apple introduced new changes to podcasting this week. I think it was at a session right after the keynote. Basically, there will be new changes made to the iTunes directory and the Apple Podcast app. You can now specify seasons of your podcast and episodes. You can also specify that some episodes are like, how do you call that? Hors série in English.
Like off season.
Yeah, like off season, like
Not
like,
in the current season.
Yeah, like intros or features or whatever, so that they don't count as a regular season episode. And when people subscribe to a season, they basically download the whole season at once. So that's cool. There's also a better handling of titles. So you can have the title with the episode number, with the pound sign and stuff like that. So you have more control over that. There will also be statistics that's going to be gathered from the Apple podcast. So basically now we only know if you guys download the episode. So we have a little counter that says +1, but that's it. If you download it and trash it, there's no way for us to know. But starting later this year, if you use the Apple podcast app, what happens is that Apple tracks your play, pause, your skips, and it can tell the podcasters exactly what part of the episodes you're listening to. So let's say that we make a show which lasts an hour, and after 35 minutes, we see a big drop down because people are tired or they think that our last subject is irrelevant. So we will be able to see exactly who listens to what in terms of episodes. And if we were to have one day ads on our podcast, we will be able to see how many people actually listen to the ads and how many people skip the ads. So all that will be coming up later on this year.
You can already do it with certain trackers, no?
Not really. The only one that you could is Stitcher, which was bought by Midroll, or Stitcher bought Midroll. Not sure.
Stitcher bought Midroll.
Yeah, okay. They have their own app, so they can do whatever they want with that. So they can track you as much as they want. But other than that, like let's say you host your podcast on Libsyn or Blueberry or Fireside, you only have the download stats, basically. You can have the user agent, so you can know if it's a download from Overcast, from Apple, because Apple is only one single user agent for everything, be it Safari Mobile, Apple Podcast or whatever. It's all the same. So it's very hard to know exactly who on the Apple platform or ecosystem is they're using for. So that's a bit hard. But other than that, it's basically download count, and that's it. So it's not too bad. It's going to be anonymized. That I don't really care. It's going to be interesting to know. Depending on some certain podcasts, they have like 90% of their listenership is on iTunes. Some have 50, some have less. So depending on where you fit in that scale, it could be useful for you or not. Or you can just use those numbers and extrapolate and guess that whoever listens to your podcast on other platforms behaves the same way. So I'm not sure it's going to impact too much the advertisement side of things. Most advertisers right now have partnerships with established podcasts, and they already know like what's their worth of when they invest in those podcasts. So what's the subscription, the purchases, or whatever that are being triggered by those podcasts. So it's not going to change much. It might be harder for new podcasts. Let's say we have like a big spikes of downloads and we want to add like an advertiser to our podcast, then they might right off the bat require us to provide those numbers so that they can know if there's actually people listening to their ads. Yeah.
And the advertisers already use like coupon codes so they can know how many people purchased using this and that coupon, so they can know from which podcast they came, and it's all calculated that way anyways. I don't think they rely really on the number of downloads and all that.
Yeah, for now, yes. But let's say Coke wants to purchase an ad on a podcast. They don't like give you a coupon code to buy a can of Coke. So they will require like exactly how many eyes, or in this case ears, will hear our ad. So that's where maybe it's going to open the door for new and bigger and more traditional advertisers. So that might be a good thing. There was a meeting with major players a couple of months ago at Apple headquarters, and that's probably one thing that came up of that meeting, is that podcasters and podcast networks might want to get into the game with like traditional sponsorships like Ford or Chrysler or whatever. So they need more tools for that. So because these guys, they don't give you like a promo code to buy a truck. Like they just want their brand to be heard. So how many times their brand is being heard is the key number that they want to hear. They want to know. So if you just say, oh, it's been downloaded like 10,000 times, but they don't know if you really heard their name 10,000 times, and now they will be able to know. So that might be a different type of podcasting ads we see in the coming weeks or months.
Okay, so this week the new 10.5 iPad came out, and the new 10.5 iPad introduces ProMotion and 130 hertz refresh rate. Some people compare it to the Retina versus non-Retina, and I had a chance to play with it today with friend of the show again that bought one, Tristan. It's really weird. I sent you a video too. Like it looks unreal. Like the scrolling, when you scroll like a web page or anything with all the content and like pictures and all that, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it other than it's really weird.
Yeah, people often compare it to the Uncanny Valley. It looks like too real, so it looks fake, kind of. Or it looks like a computer rendered. Like on movies, they usually have like green screen and they superimpose like an image or like a clip on top, and people fake using it. But you see it's fake because it's a green screen and it's too perfect to be a screen. There's no glare, there's nothing. So that's the kind of feeling people have, I think.
Any animation becomes like fun. I kept just swapping pages and scrolling through settings, and it's like so smooth. I really hope it comes with the new iPhone as well.
Well, I don't, because I don't want to change my iPhone yet.
yeah, there's that. So don't ever touch a 10.5 new iPhone or 12 inch or whatever.
That might not happen. You know that we develop iOS apps at work, so they might end up on my desk with my iOS developer friends, and they might show me a little demo or something. So, yeah.
Close your eyes.
Yeah.
No, but it's really something else.
Cool.
I wouldn't say it's like the difference between non-Retina and Retina, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, that was a bit too much. I thought when I heard people say it's comparable to like going from non-retina to retina. So that was like quite a jump. Like it was night and day. And yes, the 120 hertz will be visible. You'll see that it's much nicer, but it's not like if all of a sudden your device is like twice as nice. Yeah, I would say maybe 30% nicer, but not 100% nicer.
The size is good. Like you don't notice that it's that, like if it's physically bigger compared to the 9.7.
Yeah, and then what about the bezel? Can you hold it in your hand like steadily or?
Yeah, it didn't feel like a problem.
Cool. So they still have the headphone jack.
Yep.
They now have USB 3, so that's cool.
Nope.
No?
No, there's not. It's not USB 3. It's Lightning.
Yeah, I know, but USB 3 speeds.
What do you mean?
Like the 9.7 Pro from Baby Pro.
Yeah.
It was the only one with USB 3 speeds. So now both
for charging
Pros,
and all that?
Yeah. Well, for data transfer.
Okay. I don't know. I never plug it in except for charging.
Yeah.
The leather case, like the envelope that you can stick the pencil into.
Yeah.
It's a really nice piece of leather.
Yeah. That's too bad. It looks too nice.
It's expensive, but it's like it's a nice thing.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I'm not too much for like desktop leather thingies, but this thing looks so nice. It's quite tempting.
Yeah, you go see one in the store. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, I really have to.
You can, like, when you touch real leather, like, and this is.
Yeah, of course. So what about the screen? Like, you tried the pencil with it?
Oh no, I didn't try.
Okay, so
I have no reference because I don't have a pencil, but yeah, I should have tried it.
Yeah, just to try to do the same thing as the Microsoft research video where you just like move the pencil super fast and see if the ink follows the pencil.
Right, I know, I didn't try. Sorry.
It's funny that like Microsoft came out with the new Surface a couple weeks ago and said they had the fastest pencil on the market and they were faster than Apple and everything with 21 milliseconds. And now WWDC comes around a couple weeks later and Apple does 20 milliseconds, just 1 millisecond faster.
Yeah.
So they just can't say that anymore. So yeah, but like from Apple, it's probably just like give me round numbers and that's enough. Like they didn't care if they were the fastest or not. So for somebody who has a 9.7 Pro, is it worth the upgrade?
I'd say no.
No.
If you have an Air or an Air 2, if it's getting pretty slow, maybe yeah. But I'd say no. The Baby Pro is still a great iPad.
If you have an iPad 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have an iPad 2, you're due.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you still use it.
Yeah, well, not that much. It's on iOS 8 and stuck there. So, anyways. Yeah. All right. That's cool. So, no purchase for you now. Do you think you'll get the big 12.9 or?
No. I have no interest for the 12.
Yeah. It's mostly for people who really want to use that thing for work or artists, but as a fun tablet device, it doesn't really make sense. And now, given that you have the regular iPad, which is like got a lot cheaper, so there's really no real reason to get a 12.9 just for fun. So, unless you have money to throw out the window, then
don't have that either.
Yeah, so don't go wild. All right, that's nice.
If you had money to throw out the window, I think you'd throw it out to buy a electric skateboard. It's like the worst intro transition ever.
Well, it's okay.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't too bad. Okay. Yeah, it's not too much money. I recently got hooked on those little gizmo, and my sister's husband, he basically bought a boosted board like a year ago, and with the delays on the pre-orders and then the battery problem, like it took like more than a year for him to basically get his board. They were nice enough that they gave him like a rebate and he was able to get the extended battery for half price and stuff like that. So basically he got his board and he told me like, I have something for you in my truck. I don't know if you want me to take it out. Do you want the kids to try it? You're the parent, so you decide. So I said, okay, what is it? And he says it's a boosted board. So, okay, fine. So basically he took it out and we put the kids on it with the helmets, of course, and they tried it and they had fun. And I tried it too, and I had lots of fun. And it was way too fast for me because I'm not like, you have to know that I did do some skateboarding when I was younger, but I quickly moved to the rollerblading. So I was more of a blader than a skater. So, but going back to a longboard was quite different for me. And this boosted board is quite powerful. So that was like a maybe 15 to 20 minutes tried of it. So I can't really say it's a review, but it was just like a first impression. So it was very powerful, very fun. So then I kept having this in my head, and like I have to start reviewing those boards because they are super fun. And in my commute, I can like take my commute and shorten it like quite a lot just by going on a electric skateboard. So instead of using the subway, I could ride it in a straight line from where my South Shore bus drops me in Montreal, and I can also go from my house to the bus, which is a express line, which is like only has one stop, which is basically downtown Montreal. So I could like change my whole itinerary commute, yeah, to be like half the time. So all in all, that's in my head. I keep doing my life as usual, and then I stumble across an Indiegogo campaign where a company tries to sell a board for not $1,500 US, like the boosted board, but only $450. So I'm like, okay, that is weird. So looking at this, it looks very, very close to a boosted board. It's the same kind of bamboo board with the same shape, with the bull nose and everything, orange wheels and everything. But then if you look closer, then you realize that it's not the system is not the same thing. It's not using a belt motor system. It's using actually in-hub motors. So the motors are in the wheel basically, and they're on an axis, and they have a coil, and they basically use electricity to turn. And they announced that it's waterproof. So, okay, fine. So I contact the guy from the campaign and say, hey, do you want a review for your board? Because I tried to do some research, and this is like a brand new company. It's a brand new board, so they don't have any like coverage on the media or anything. He says, yeah, sure. We'll send you one. So I ended up getting a juiced board, dual, which is basically the model with the big battery and two motors. So the back wheels each have one motor in them. So basically, I had this board for about a week and a couple of days, and I used it for my commute. And at first, it was easier, I would say, than the boosted board because it's a bit less powerful. Well, it's much less powerful, but it's easier to get used to. And I quickly, and like one day, basically went from the slower mode to the fastest mode, and took my commute down to exactly 30 minutes. So I was pretty impressed with that. Took the board out of my home at 7:02 and I was at work at 7:32. So from door to door. So that was pretty impressive, given that it took about usually like an hour to get to work. So that was fun. So yeah, basically, it's a Canadian maple board with some bamboo, so it's a bit stiffer than the boosted board. It's a long board, so it's very fun and very stable to drive at high speeds. This was a pre-production model, so it was not like the final battery. They were still, even like last week, deciding on which capacity they would use. The remote is a little plastic thingy with a little toggle. You push or pull. The board brakes, so the motors can stop the wheels, but they cannot go reverse. So if you just want to stop like rapidly, you have to be aware that you need such a braking distance. So I measured that to about like 10 to 15 feet. So if there's an emergency, you basically just hit the brakes and jump out of the board. And while you're out of the board will stop much faster because there's no momentum or weight to slow it, to keep it going fast. So I took it for a couple of rides around town. I tried also to do it, to do like a real life test of going like to the Quartier des Trente from my house and back, which is a 3.4 kilometers run. So going there and coming back. So that's like 7.2, and that worked. They advertised 7 miles or 11 kilometers. But when I took it out the next day to go to work, I was able to go to the bus from my house. But then when I got to Montreal and I wanted to go straight to my workplace, it died on the way. So I had
I remember that.
Yeah. But the cool thing is,
because I was waiting.
Yeah, I know that we had like so much problem just like meeting up because I wanted to show you the board, but then like the one day I was not able to, then the next day you slept in, and then I was there, but the battery died. Yeah. No, wasn't that the reason one time?
No.
Yeah,
you worked from home.
No. There was one day, that day that I got to
Oh
work
yeah,
in
yeah,
30
yeah, yeah,
minutes. I said, I'm ready. I'm there. And he said, yeah, I just woke up.
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember.
Yeah. So anyways, so you were not able to test it. But yeah, still, so that the fun thing is that even if you don't have any battery, since it's a hub motor skateboard and there's no resistance or barely no resistance, you can still kick push it and do like regular longboarding with it. So that was not a big problem. I was maybe like halfway in my commute, so I could just kick push it for like 15 minutes and I was at work. So that was okay. Yeah. The range, I just said I did it for about 7 point something kilometers and then it died. But if you go like in one straight drive and you barely don't stop, I was able to go it much further. Let me just get back my numbers. I did a 100% to 0% test in my neighborhood, and I was able to reach 29.9 kilometers per hour. So that's 18.5 miles per hour. I think the board is rated at 20 miles. So being a lot heavier than most, I'm pretty impressed. I was not expecting to get close to the advertised time, because usually they take like people that are about 70 to 80 kilos. For that, I'm 115, so I was thinking like if I get half of it, then it will be okay. No, I was able to get a very good performance out of it, and basically I was able to do 10.18 kilometers. So the advertised 7 miles or 11 kilometers. So that was pretty close to it, and it took me about 26 minutes of drive. So I went around my neighborhood like a big rectangle path, and then after I've done it 3 times and I reached about 7 or 8 kilometers, I didn't want to go too far, so I just did some other drive around my neighboring street around and doing like 8, and so basically got down to what I was thinking, as it was pretty impressive. Because yes, it's not a boosted board, it's not like super fast, it's not super big range, but it's only $500 US compared to 3 times the price for a boosted board. So for what you're paying, it's actually pretty good. If you're like a long time longboarder, if you're a long time electric skateboard user, this might not be the best thing for you, because you're like pro level, so you need like better speed or maybe like a longer range, like a 20 or 30 kilometer range instead of that 10 or 11 I managed to do. But if you're just starting, that's a very great first board. At it was $450 when it was early bird, and now I think they have more or less at $550. So it's still $550 for the single version, motor, and the dual is $599. So for $600, which is almost a third of a boosted board, you get something that's maybe 60 to 70% of what a boosted board is. Plus, you have some things that the boosted board doesn't have. The water resistance, that is pretty impressive. When I went to the discount to get some Thai food, it was raining and it was wet, and they even cut the grass around the bike path. So it was like the worst condition ever. Big puddles, water raining down. I basically went there and came back, and my whole jean was like full of grass and dirt and grime and all wet from my socks out to my underwear. So it was very, very, very wet. And
Easy
the board,
on the detail.
yeah. And the board had like no problem. It's not as powerful as a boosted board, so it does not even skid. Like I was able to go like up and down little hills and bumps and following the bike path, and it was like handling super. There's only one time that it kind of almost skid, but I kind of like did like a very sharp turn, so it was mainly my fault, I would say. But for water resistant, it was amazing. And the cool thing is that once I sent it back to the guys at Juice Boards, they sent it to another guy I think it's in Alberta. And he basically said, okay, let's test the water resistance. So he basically went to the water park, like a small neighboring water park where kids play in water games and everything. And he basically ran the thing like in like 2 inches of water, and it was like more than wet. It was like basically like almost swimming, and had no problem with it after that. So pretty impressive for that. One thing that people are always asking is, what about the hill climbing? Can you like climb a hill that's like 15%, 20%, 30%, whatever? They announce 15%. I was not able to get 15%. I was able to do 10%. That was okay. If you want to do 15%, try to start from like earlier, get your speed, and then get that 15% hill climb. Because if you start from being standstill, that won't work for sure. And the time to charge is 45 minutes, so that's pretty cool. I know the boosted board is an hour and 15 or an hour and 20. So if you want to get an extra 7 miles range, you just charge it 45 minutes, time for a coffee and a quick snack, and you're good to go. I think that's about it. Do you have any other questions?
Why did you miss out on that? Why did you not have enough battery when I was supposed to try it that morning?
Yeah, I know. It was exactly because of that. The day before, I went to Distraunt and I had like 7 kilometers done. I said, I have a couple more I can get to work, no problem. And thought I would be able to try, but no, because I stopped, probably the battery keeps discharging after that because it stays hot, I guess. And I know that when a battery is hot, it loses its charge. So that's probably what happened.
Is it easy to ride? Like, does it feel uncomfortable uncomfortable and you're going too fast at the beginning or anything? Because you see people just flying on them and I don't know.
Yeah, for boosted board, yes. If you've seen any Casey Neistat video, you know that people just go on those, look at their hands, press forward, and then fall on their that's for sure. But for the boosted board, there's not enough torque to do that, especially if you're heavy like me. Yes, if you're not used to it and you just stand straight and you crash the button forward, you'll fall for sure. But if you like flex your knees, move your weight to the front a bit, and then you put it to the max, there's no problem. Like I said, the first day, okay, so this juice board has 4 speeds. So there's 2 modes. There's a turtle mode and a rabbit mode. Turtle mode has high and low, and rabbit mode has high and low. So first day, I started with the turtle mode, of course, and the low settings. So that was easy. I was able to get my balance, and I was able to go to the old port and come back. But while doing that ride, I moved it too high because it was not going fast enough for me, and it had problem going uphill. So, and then when I came back from the old port, I even stopped and changed it to the rabbit mode at low speed. And that was a bit scarier because there was a hill, I was going downhill. And even if I tried to stop, the board was still going a bit too far for me. So I just had to use my foot to stop. So that's not a big problem. Just try to understand like what's your distance with something new like that. So it's a bit harder at first. But in the end, it was so fun. And then the ride home, I kept it into rabbit mode low. And it was straight line, some part downhill a bit. So it was quite fast and a bit scary at times because I was still not very used to the riding a skateboard. So that was hard. But like even second day, I tried the high speed for a while. It was fine. I went back to the low speed. But the third day, it was full speed ahead always. And for the rest of the week and then the couple next days after that, I was always full speed. So yeah, it's pretty stable. For 26 minutes, when I did the 100% to 0%, my calf were hurting at the end because it bounces a bit, but you still feel the roads and the bumps and the cracks and everything. So it's kind of like it's not the same. It's not. Yeah, it's because you hold the position in your like almost like doing the chair if you want. So you flex your knees a bit and you flex your muscles and you don't move for like 26 minutes. So you get like easily get your muscle sores. But if you're if you're like a driver that is used to longboarding, you can change your position. You can move your feet around. You can change your ankles and everything. So while riding it, what I tried to do is actually like shift my weight from the front to the back just a bit so I can like relax my muscle a bit. But I'm not as good as I would like to do that. So still get sore muscle after a long run.
How heavy is it?
It's heavier than I thought. It is, let me see, it's 13 pounds.
Is it
So,
a pain to carry in the metro and all that?
a pain.
Not a pain, but like, is
Yeah.
it like considerably heavy?
Well, I had like a messenger bag, which is quite small. So for my laptop and my lunch, and that's basically it. So having that on my lap and then the board right next to my left leg on the bus, it was okay. The battery wasn't a problem because I have it like upside down, so the battery at the ground. So it was just like a regular longboard. So it was not that bad. Going in and out of doors and revolving doors and everything is a bit trickier because it's kind of quite long. But no, I would say that if I had to use that every day, I wouldn't mind. All right, so if you want to learn more about the juice board, you can go to Indiegogo. They have their campaign that is still running. They still have we're Thursday night, so they still have 7 days left. So and they're funded. So they were expecting to get $50,000, and they're now at $223,000, raised by 410 backers. I'm quite proud because I was able to help them like get the word out. Basically, my review was the first one. I kind of like, I wouldn't say it's the exclusivity, but I was kind of like the first to publish my review. So that was cool. And then Casey Neistat reviewed it also, but gave it like bad review. And like the guy is basically like a consultant for Boosted Board. So it's normal that he's very, very close to Boosted Board for that. But the way that he reviewed it, basically used it on the street against the Boosted Board and tested every single thing that the Boosted Board is better than the Juice Board. So of course, if you just look at this, it's an inferior board compared to the Boosted Board, but it's a third of the price. And did he mention the waterproofness of the thing? No, he did not. Did he mention the faster charging time? No, he did not. So basically, his review was quite biased. So I tried to, in mind, to exactly do the opposite. So I mentioned the good things, but I also say a couple of places, keep in mind that it's not a Boosted Board. Being a third of the price, you don't get as something that's as powerful. So yeah, go take a look. It looks like a very good first product. Hopefully they'll probably, I don't know if they will. I have no insider knowledge of that, but I'm hoping that they're going to make more models in the future. I've seen this year a few skateboards coming out with 4-wheel drive. So that's something. So you get 4 motors instead of 2. They are pretty powerful, those that do that this year. So yeah. All right. So that is it for episode number 53. You can find the show notes at rgba.fm/53. You can follow us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. And my personal account is Valia, VALLIERES.
And I'm Tyler Menard, TYLERMENARD.
Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.